All right, I want to bring in now Joseph Pinion, a GOP strategist. Joe, good morning to you. Good to see you, buddy. Listen, I want to dive in real quick. The Pope tweeted out a special prayer for all of us working in the media today. Look at this. This is what he said, #PrayTogether. For all who work in the media, who work to communicate, to inform us so that people are not so isolated and educate children. We pray for all those who are helping us bear this time of isolation. Huge from the Pope, and hats off to every colleague I have. Look, every one of these guys, even especially in local, they're going out into where we're saying, hey, don't go. But there are some in the mainstream media, and you may have seen it too, Joe, on television, that they're really looking to place blame rather than to, maybe they're getting to the people and getting the best facts to them. What are your thoughts on this, especially when you watch the president's press conferences?
Look, I think the reality is that we've got a lot of people in the media asking the wrong questions. I'm here trapped in my house like many people, but my phone doesn't stop ringing. I've got family members in Louisiana who calling the sewage and water board trying to get the water turned back on. And the phone is not being answered. So we have real people with real problems trying to find a way to get through a unseen plague that is threatening life as we know it. And I think those are the things that we need to start focusing on, those human stories, individuals who literally don't know how they're going to pay for lunch or dinner. There are human tragedies occurring every day around us. And we have to find ways to band together, even though we cannot be together as a country and as a community and as a world.
Look, I know exactly what you're talking about. The sewage and water board issue in Louisiana, specifically the New Orleans area, is a huge problem. 300-year-old piping system out there, and of course, there's a lot of problems with that. That's something that we're going to see a lot of, too, play out. I want to bring in, we've got David Schuster as well, political analyst. Good to see you as well, David. Your thoughts on this conversation that we're having here? We've seen a lot of combativeness, if you will, on the White House lawn and in the press briefings.
Yeah, Sean, I would say that this is really not the time now for sort of evaluating whether the president has done a good job or a bad job, or maybe necessarily what's going to necessarily happen to the economy. This is the time for the next couple of weeks where all Americans, we're all in this together. We have to find a way to meet the challenge by simply isolating ourselves, being with our family, putting food on the table somehow, and doing everything that we can sacrifice together to try to make sure that this thing doesn't spread. And again, as the president and his top aide said yesterday, 240,000 people might die. We only lost 50,000 in Vietnam. We only lost 405,000 Americans in World War II. This is an unbelievable challenge that we're facing, and all of us are in this. All of us have to simply try to figure out a way to get through day after day for the next couple of weeks and do what each of us can to try to protect our fellow citizens.
And one of the ways you can protect our fellow citizens here, Joe, is to pay attention to these press briefings. I feel it's good to have them because we're getting information. There's transparency. And these press briefings seem to go on for 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 2 hours sometimes, Joe. But then you have some networks cutting away from it. Are they robbing our audience of seeing information that maybe they need to hear, Joe?
Look, I think the reality is that we've got people tuning in because they're scared and because they need information. And the reality is there are some people that can't tune in. And so they depend on the media to be able to discern what was actually discussed in those sessions. Not to say whether they believe that the president said something they agree with, disagree with. Look, I think that there is a time for politics and there is a time for unity. And we are in one of those times. I remember that famous quote from, John Adams to his son, John Quincy Adams, saying that you come into life with advantages that will disgrace you if your success is mediocre. Well, there is no nation that has been more blessed than the United States of America. But if we do not come together now, then we truly are disgracing the blessings that we have bestowed upon us. So I really just think that I would behoove the people in the media, behoove the people at home to stop figuring out who to blame and start talking about how we can, as a people, start doing the things necessary to make sure that we get through these hard times.
Yeah, I think we can all save it. Hey, look, go after everyone in a few months when we get through this thing together. Right now, let's just get through it together. David, I want to humanize this story for a second here. I know you're a father. Tell me a little bit about your kids, how you're taking care of your family. What are you telling your kids? Are they asking what's going on? And can we see them? Do you have them there?
Hey, Zeke, come here. Come here for a second. So, I've got my 3-year-old. You want to come on? We've got. I'm literally in the main living room of a house that we rented in rural Connecticut to try to get away from New York City. The kids are actually doing okay. Our 3-year-old doesn't really know what's going on. He's sort of playing, although he needs constant attention. It's our 6-year-old who is in first grade and having to do remote learning. She's, I think, having a little bit of a more difficult time with it. I mean, she's got to sort of do her video classes. She's a little bit confused. She's afraid of the virus. Come here, Zeke. I want to put you on. I want to introduce you to some friends.
Hi,
This
Zeke.
is Zeke Schuster. And he's having a grand old time because we have a big yard that we can go play with. And he can grab my
there you
nose
go.
and
Get in
watch.
Schuster's face. We like
He's getting
that.
a lot of attention from Daddy at the moment, but we're hanging in there. I mean, I think the kids are doing okay, and we're just trying to do like what everybody else is doing, and that is
Yeah. There you go,
get through
Zeke.
it with our noses
That's
in
what.
check.
Sometimes people want to do that to me. Sometimes just make it be quiet. Real quick, stay there, Schuster. Joe, I see you shaking your head. How are you, buddy? How's it going? You got props and kids. What's going on?
Look, man, I've got no kids. All I've got is photographs of myself as a child, apparently. I got my mother calling me, convinced that her retirement's going to vanish and that I might vanish along with it. So, look, if we keep up like this, I might have to get a mail-order bride because David is going to keep coming out with Play-Doh and kids, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't compete.
Well, look, all of us can help by simply sharing the happy stories, the happy pictures, because these are such grim times, and this is a time when all of us reach out to our friends, our colleagues, to Joe, I love you, to Sean, to Emma, and just say, hey, you guys matter in my life, and God forbid anything happens to me. I just want you to know how happy I am to have this connection. And to the extent that all of us can do that with our family, with our friends, with our relatives, and take this moment when we are just sort of sitting around wondering what's happening next and saying to somebody, hey, I love you.
Yeah.
I mean, that in and of itself, I think, can help us all get through this.
Absolutely. You gotta somehow still connect with folks that need it the most. Clearly, you need to call Joe. You're not doing enough giving him attention. All right, guys, thanks. That's Joe Pinion, GOP strategist. David Schuster. Take care. Also, Zeke, take care as well.
Safe.
All right.